الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So today inshallah ta'ala, or this evening, we'll be continuing discussing the book Arba'in al-Nawawiyya. And we have started discussing Hadith al-Hadi wa Thalathun, the 31st Hadith in this particular collection. And the Hadith so far that we have covered the reading of the Hadith. So the Hadith have been read both in Arabic and in English. And second, and especially said that for those who are able to memorize the Hadith, then also that is encouraged, especially the smaller Hadith. So for those who are able to memorize the Hadith, then that is highly encouraged. Then so we read the Hadith both in Arabic, and the Hadith was read in English. Then after we discussed the Hadith by mentioning something regarding the Sahabi or the narrator of the Hadith, who's the Sahabi that have narrated this Hadith. Then after we had a discussion of the takhrij of the Hadith. So went into the takhrij of the Hadith slightly or to some degree. Of that, we mentioned something relating to, in this case, what is mentioned by the author rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned, Ruwahu Ibn Majah. So we mentioned something brief about Ibn Majah, seeing that the book of Ibn Majah is not as well known as others. So we mentioned something about the book of Ibn Majah and Ibn Majah in brief. Then we went on to discuss the Hadith further in details, or some detail of takhrij of the Hadith. So of this regarding, we mentioned what have been said by the ulama pertaining to their judgment on this hadith, and we mentioned the aqwal of the ulama on this, of those of past and also those of that came after. So we mentioned that now rahimahullah ta'ala of latter times ulama that more inclined towards the hadith being what? Hasan. And we mentioned that this is contrary to the view taken by some of the ulama before him, of the ulama of old, that have taken a different opinion on this hadith. But overall, khilaf between the ulama on this hadith. Then we mentioned that of those who grade the hadith to be daif, and those who grade the hadith to be hasan. And of those who grade the hadith to be hasan, based upon, they mentioned that because of the asanid of the hadith, that they elevate the hadith to hasan. And of those of contemporary Shaykh Al-Albani, that with this hadith and also other hadith, that he owes that if they're combined together, they give strength and raise to the degree of Al-Hasan. Then, so what continues, what remains to be discussed, that today inshallah ta'ala, so what remains to be discussed, that based upon this, that were mentioned matters regarding the hadith, by way of Hamid had the hadith, or what have been mentioned. Did we mention what have been said by the ulama regarding the importance of this hadith? Did we mention this? No. Okay, so we can somewhat add that, and also we'll go into a explanation of the hadith. They mentioned the hadith ijmalan, in brief, forget about general meaning of the hadith. Then we'll go into a sharh of the hadith tafsilan, in more detail. So that will be concerning of those things that lies ahead of us regarding discussing this hadith. So picking up from, as we had said, of the things that we have mentioned before, and as for what lies ahead, that we'll be now discussing the next point regarding Hamiyat hada hadith wa makanat hada hadith. So what have been mentioned by the ulama regarding the importance or the importance of this particular hadith, that is stated by Abu Dawud As-Sijistani, that he have mentioned regarding concerning that he counts this hadith as if you were to collect all the hadith and summarize them into 4 hadith, then this hadith will amount to one of those 4 hadiths. So Abu Dawud As-Sijistani rahimahullah ta'ala, that he mentioned that this particular hadith is of those hadith that is considered to be of that importance, that if you were to summarize all the hadith that we have and summarize them into 4 hadith, then this will be one of those 4 hadith. So they show the excellence of this hadith based upon what is mentioned here by Abu Dawud and others. And also it is mentioned by Jordani. So Jordani, he has an explanation of this book, Al-Arba'in. Jordani have an explanation of Al-Arba'in, and it is called Jawahir Al-Lu'lu'a Al-Arba'in Al-Nawawiyya, and it's in print. So he mentioned regarding this hadith, he mentioned هذا حديث أحد الأحاديث التي عليه مدار الإسلام. that he owes this hadith as to praise this hadith, that he mentioned that this particular hadith here that we're discussing, that is one of those hadiths that Islam revolves around it, showing importance to this hadith, showing importance to this particular hadith. So those are some of the statements of the ulama regarding this particular hadith. And others who have stated regarding the praise of this hadith. So the next point to be discussed is the meaning of hadith ijmalan. So the meaning of this hadith ijmalan. So the hadith that we have in front of us, that it states regarding concern that a person, that they came to the Prophet ﷺ, فقال جاء رجل, that a person came to the Prophet ﷺ. So we discussed that they have mentioned that the ulama have mentioned that they haven't able to none who have explained this hadith were able to identify who is this person, الرجل, this person الرجل. جاء رجل إلى النبي عليه السلام فقال. So this person that came to the Prophet ﷺ and asked him this question, they are unable to identify who is this person. So at times some of the ulama, they try to, when a person is mentioned within the hadith, as in this case this person who asked this question, try to identify who this individual may be. But in this case they were unable to identify this person. So it's that the person considered to be mujmal or mubham in the hadith. Mubham in the hadith, that it inside the hadith it doesn't harm. Inside the Islam it harms. So a person that is unknown in the matan of the hadith, in the text of the hadith, this does not harm. So a person, if he's not mentioned, but he's mentioned within the text of hadith, as in this case, jaha rajul, who is this person? Not known. That does not harm the authenticity of the hadith. But if it was to occur in the sanad of the hadith, the chain of hadith, then that's the issue. That will make the hadith, of the reason why the hadith can be, the hadith to be deemed as daif, because the person is unknown. And of the thing for the hadith to be authentic, that person, each person must be known. By way of their name, one, and also that and other things that were, and also knowing the state of that person, the hal of that person. So in the isnad, a person who is not mentioned, specified, then this harm the hadith. But in the text, the matan of hadith, it does not. So it mentioned that overall, that I mentioned that they were unable to identify who this individual is in this hadith. So it mentioned that that's of the points they mentioned. Also from the hadith, that they mentioned that of those things that it shows regarding the Sahaba, that they will approach the Prophet ﷺ and ask him questions on different matters. So it mentioned, فَقَالْ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ دُلَّنِي عَلَىٰ عَمَلٍ, that he asked the Prophet ﷺ for him to guide him, meaning concerned, inform me, guide me towards an action. And I mentioned al-amal salih, meaning our righteous deeds. إِذَا أَمَلْتُهُ hababani Allah. If I was to do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would love me. So this shows that the companions, that they will approach the Prophet ﷺ and ask of things to get them closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Things that they're able to can do, but this act will bring them closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So show that these acts are beloved to Allah, that is action that are beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it mentioned al-amal. Did it mention amal salih or aman as-sayya? But from the hadith it mentioned that action that will be beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, get me the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it showed that the Muslim, that he should have this type of approach in life, trying to find acts, actions, deeds that he's able can do that will bring him closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then it mentioned wahabbani an-nas, and also things that I can do that will draw me closer to the people, or the people, they will like me, the people will like of me. So it shows, as we'll discuss, that it shows that a person trying to know of things that first Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased with that person doing these things, and also things that a person can do to gain the love of the people. Within, as we'll discuss. Then it mentioned فَقَالَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامُ, as regarding the question that was asked. So it shows regarding asking question regarding things that we can do practically to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then also it mentions that izhad fi dunya, that it mentioned a person, that the person can somewhat, what is the word zuhd in English there is? Asceticism. Okay. So the person, we use the word zuhd. Okay. We're more familiar with that word as zuhd.
But he says
Aywa. So that mentioned that, so as Zuhd, as we'll discuss, fi dunya, that a person to have Zuhd in the dunya, yuhibbuka Allah. That Allah subhanahu, if you have Zuhd in the dunya, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. Then he mentioned, wasdad fima inda nas, and also practice as Zuhd in what is with the amongst what is with the people, then also the people, they will like you. Then he mentioned al-Hadith. So the Hadith, that's the meaning of the Hadith in general, that are there things that the person can do, that of actions and deeds, if done, it will bring the person close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also these acts that the people will somewhat, it will gain the favor of the people, again, the love of the people. Then the Prophet ﷺ, he told him regarding Zuhd, that of those things, that if the person were to practice this act of Zuhd, and we'll discuss regarding concerning Zuhd regarding the dunya, will bring him close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Zuhd is what with what is with the people will bring you their love. Then, as for the Hadith, they start to discuss the Hadith in some detail. That's the general meaning of the Hadith. So things that one can do will bring them close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also it will bring them closer to the people by doing things that are pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for what is mentioned here, as we said first, Ja'a Rajul, in the Isnad, it have a bearing. In the Matin, it doesn't. But they are unable to mention as to who is this person, who is this person. Then they mention regarding about overall this person, that he came to the Prophet ﷺ to ask a question. So it shows regarding concern the people that with the Prophet ﷺ being present, that they have that access to the Prophet ﷺ to ask regarding matters regarding ad-deen and also the dunya. And also with this, that those who are the inheritors of the Prophet ﷺ were the ulama. That also that the responsibility upon them also is to clarify to the people matters regarding the deen. So the Prophet ﷺ, while he was alive, he was the one that would explain regarding matters of the deen. And after the Prophet ﷺ's death, then the people who bear that responsibility by still communicating the message of the Prophet ﷺ to the people and clarifying the message of the Prophet ﷺ to the people, that's the ulama. So the people would approach them regarding for them to clarify matters regarding the deen that the people may not be aware of. So the ulama, they take that responsibility to the ulama. Their responsibility is to convey the message, as the message is already known. So the ulama is to convey the message, not per se bring things from themselves, but rather to explain what's already established by way of the Quran or by way of the Sunnah. As for the next thing they discussed, the Prophet said, "Dullani ala amal." So I mentioned that as for this concern, a person left the matter without clarifying what action, but this is understood regarding amal salih. That's understood. So the person asking for the Prophet ﷺ to direct him, so the person seeking for the from the Prophet ﷺ to direct him or clarify to him something that he can do to achieve certain things. And what he's trying to achieve is to get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also to have a good relations with the people, to have a good relation with the people. So having that balanced approach. So that having that a balanced approach where it doesn't necessitate that if you're close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it means that you have to go against the people all the time and always fighting against the people. Then that's not the case. So he asked regarding of those two matters regarding closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also matters relating to his relationship with the people. So said regarding concerning a Muslim, that regarding concerning his approach regarding the dunya, it's always balance. And of that, his relation first with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also of those things, his relation with others, the people that he has to live with. And they said the environment that he has to live within. So for the Muslim to have a balanced approach regarding, so you find regarding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and that relationship, that regarding at-tawheed, that a person try to uphold at-tawheed, and also with the other matter regarding living with the people is how the people live with the people regarding his behavior and conduct regarding dealing with others. So it mentioned regarding concerning that the person asks regarding this matter. So it shows that the Muslim, even then, that that they were balanced in their approach regarding Islam. Not so out to fulfill our duties to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also the duty that we have towards others. Then the Prophet Islam, he kind of somewhat indicates the dimension regarding concerning that. After asking those questions, that the answer that was given with the Prophet Islam, he told the person regarding this matter, izhad fi dunya, that for the person to izhad, and what is concerned as zuhd. So izhad fi dunya, to abstain from the dunya, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will love you. So as zuhd, to abstain from things of the dunya, or overly indulge in the dunya. As for this matter regarding izhad fi dunya, that then a discussion between the ulama as to how they defined as zuhd. As zuhd, how the ulama define as zuhd. So you have different different. So the meaning of zuhd, linguistically, they mean that qillati shay, or tark shay, for a person to abstain, to leave something, or to have a small amount of that thing. For a person to acquire a small amount, what is sufficient from that thing. So a small amount of that thing, to have a small amount, or to leave that thing. That's linguistically. As for zuhd, as to istilahan, as understood between the ulama, as to how they explain zuhd, that you have different aqwal. You have different aqwal regarding zuhd. So of those aqwal that is mentioned regarding how they defined zuhd, of those who mention tark ma zada an al-haja min al-halal mutayaqin hillu, that they mention concerning zuhd, of the definition that's given regarding what is zuhd, to abstain from the dunya, zuhd, tark ma zada an haja, for a person not to leave, not to exceed what is required, not to exceed that which is required, and to be certain of things that are halal. To make sure that whatever of the halal that you're indulging in, or the thing that you're allowed, that it is certain, it is halal. So anything of the thing which is said to be halal, but for a person to ensure that's the case. That's of the definition that is given by some of the ulama. Others, and you have many definitions. We just mentioned some, not all. So zuhd, but to get a general idea regarding how the ulama, they view zuhd. Just to have an idea regarding how the ulama, they view this act of zuhd. They mention, again, tark ma zada an durura. So they mention another definition, zuhd, tark ma zada an durura. So the person not to exceed that which is needs. Durura, only that which you need. And again, min al-halal, of those things which is halal, being certain that that thing, it is also halal. So for a person not to exceed that which is needs, what is required from the halal, and ensuring that those halal, it is halal. Clear the definition? Clear the message?
He leaves it, but he believes that it's halal for him to do it if he wanted to. He doesn't. And he leaves this thing believing that it's permissible for him to do it, not that he leaves it because he thinks that it's haram, basically.
So tark ma zad and durur, or haja, or the person that he restrict himself to that which he is in need of, and not exceed this from the thing which is halal, knowing that and ensuring that the thing which is halal is actually halal. For example, so there's the person, for example, eating, or having eating, what a person consume, that he ensure that he eats only not until he's filled. He eats that which is required, but not until he's filled. Instead of that, he overeats. He doesn't overeat. He eats that which is required to that which, from and ensuring that whatever he eats is from that thing which is halal. So when he eats, he doesn't overeat. He eats only that which he requires, and he ensures that whatever he's eating is from halal. Clear? So that's what is meant. So the person don't go, in this case, he does not go into excess. Anything which is excess that goes over, even though it is halal, he leaves it. He leaves it. Then other definition is given, ترك ما لا ينفع في الآخرة. And that's a definition by Ibn Taymiyyah. ترك ما لا ينفع في الآخرة. That the person leave those things that will not benefit his akhirah. So anything that will not add to the person's akhirah, make better his akhirah, he leaves it. So anything that does not relate to the person getting to draw him closer to the akhirah, he has nothing to do with it. And other definitions that are given. So those are of those definitions. I will mention that there are many other definitions that are given regarding Zuhd. Those are just some for us to have an understanding as what is intended by Zuhd. Yeah, our next word, so that's concerning definition given by the ulama regarding Zuhd. And also this act of Zuhd is a practice that was common amongst the Salaf. And even today, still amongst the ulama. So I find some ulama of those things that people mention regarding of their outstanding qualities was that they are known for their Zuhd. And you might find that at times that a person of ilm may be a person of the sunnah and of ilm, but the people somewhat of a thing that people might somewhat criticize that a person that they were too much indulgement in the dunya. His house is like a a palace. His cars are the top line of cars. His clothing top quality, as if he's a king. But he's a talib al-ilm. At times people may look down upon this. At times people may look down upon this.
How do you define that excess in that situation?
And said those are the guidelines we give. Anything that goes beyond what you need. So anything that goes beyond what is needed. And that may vary, but the person try to stay within, stay within their means without going to excess. Or beyond what is that? For example, that a car, as an example.
Do you mean focus on what you need and not what you want?
If you want to put it in that word, a better wording. So the person says, so what you need, not all the things that you want and desire. But the alim, he lives by this. Not just an idea, he lives by it. So he may have, and at times even, regarding concern that even having that want for the dunya they don't have that desire for the dunya. Even they don't have that desire to want all these things of fancy cars and the likes. Even though they can afford it.
How do you balance that between appreciating the blessings of Allah that you can afford some luxuries and then the opposing view?
And the opposing view?
Yeah, they said, just taking what you need.
The person appreciate what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him from the halal, then that's not a problem.
Yeah.
You understand? But and then you might add, so it goes back to different individuals might have a different approach. Where a person, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him much and he shows that favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he lives within his needs, so he can afford a house of 5 million. He can afford this. And he lives like that. And he has a Rolls Royce. You understand? So he lives, but he's living within his means. But that's the life that he has chosen. Then you find another person who may have that he has chosen to, even though he can afford it, he has the means to achieve to gain those things, but he chooses not to. For him, he might seem that for him excessive. You understand? That whether you have a Rolls Royce or a normal car? A Toyota. Okay. A Peugeot. You understand? Both get you from A to Z. But a Peugeot not like, you understand, but the ride, as they say, will be different. The ride will be different. But it both get you from A to Z. So for some people that you understand, for them is getting from A to Z, but some people is how you get from A to Z. So it may vary 1%, but these qualities are more so that become qualities that are expected from people of ilm. With the Prophet ﷺ kind of somewhat his lifestyle that was somewhat said humble. You understand that he could acquire the things that was, you understand, the luxuries of life, but he didn't. His house was, said, a common house, a normal house, but he could have received or built a castle. So living within, you understand, a person who has the ability but choose not to. He, the person, made that choice. So it may vary with one person to another. It may vary with one person to another. But after a person of ilm, there's usually more advisable that they kind of somewhat try to be of those people that are known for wara or zuhd. Then I mentioned the next of the thing that they discuss, farq bayna zuhd wal wara. So you have this word that's also used, that is somewhat used interchangeable. The word al-wara and the word zuhd. So they mentioned all my concerns. They said al-wara, tarak ma ishtaba. So al-wara is the person leave things that are doubtful. Al-wara is leaving things that are unclear, doubtful. As some also, that's of the meaning of al-wara, simply that a person leave away those things which is doubtful. And others mention al-wara, qil al-wara, tarakh ma takhaf darrahu fil akhirah. And also al-wara is the person leaving those things that he fear might harm his akhirah. Leaving that which may harm the person's akhirah. So between both al-wara wa zuhd, yeah, they mention umum al-khusus, but overall some make a distinction between both. That there's certain things that some things may be common between both, and also things that are different from both. But those words are sometimes used together regarding the person who live a very humble life. Al-wara, with a person with wara, you leave away thing which is doubtful. So the meal is placed in front of you, you understand, and people, you understand, you doubt, is this thing halal? You leave it. That's wara. So difference between al-wara and zuhd, that the meal that is placed in front of the person, it is halal. And it's a big dish with, you understand, the person does eat, you understand, it's a big plate of food is in front of him, that a person, he eats just a little portion and that's it for him. He doesn't try to eat everything on the plate. So that is zuhd. That is zuhd. Then, this I mentioned that difference between both zuhd wal wara. Then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned zuhd fi dunya, in a sense of the person that not to overly indulge in things of the dunya. Zuhd fi dunya, not to overly indulge in things of the dunya. Take off what is needed, not that which is wanted. So that's concerning zuhd. Another, then they also, with zuhd, that they have aqsam zuhd. According to Ahmed rahimahullah ta'ala, he break it down or classified zuhd into 3 categories. Tark al-haram, so part of zuhd is leaving those things which is haram. And Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala mentioned that is fardul ayn. So part of zuhd that is expected from everyone, leaving away those things which is what? Haram. And that is fardul ayn. So each person is required in his own way upon him or her that they avoid tark al-haram. So this is a part of it said, zuhd al-awam. This is the zuhd, that is the general one upon everyone. Every Muslim. that they avoid those things which is haram. And that is fard ain. The second type of zuhd or category, tark al-fudul. Tark al-fudul. So leaving those things which is excess. Leaving that which is excess. Or the surplus or the leftovers. Meaning, as we said, that the plate of food is there. That is plate of food, as I said, that can serve for 3 or 4 people can eat that plate of food. Nam, and just one person there. The amount of food that is served, it could could be eaten by 4 individuals. Nam, but it's for one person. And that person of zuhd, that a person will eat, is section enough. Eat enough. Will be less than what an ordinary person will eat. So the section 4 is quarter, it would take a half of that, for example. So is quarter, he would just take still from his quarter a half or 2/3, but not the full thing from his portion. So the person, so that extra, even though he has his quarter, his share, he only takes that which is needed, not that which is wanted, the excess. So what is needed, what is sufficient, that was enough for him to make him fill, will be of his quarter, a half of this, or 2/3. He takes that and leave the rest, because that's excess. That's going to make the person overly filled. So he leaves this. That is az-zuhd. That is tark al-fudul min al-halal, from that which is halal. So the person leaving those things which is excess in things which is halal. They mentioned that is az-zuhd al-khawas. That's for the ones who are for the special cases of zuhd. Then the third level or degree of zuhd, tark ma yashghil anillah, that things that will distract the person from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the third level, tark ma yushghil anillah, that thing will distract the person, busy the person away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So of those things that will busy the person away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that level of excessiveness right now, the person putting all his efforts into that thing, and now it is taking that person away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So example, that that the person of a farm, a job, and all his time and energy is put in that job, that farm, even though both is halal. Both is halal. To have a farm is halal, but because all the time and energy and effort is spent in this thing, that the person now is praying his salat sometimes late, he's catching up on his salah, he's missing salah at times, his Jummah is being missed, his Siyam, he's forgetting, he's also missing Siyam. So it started to impact on his deen and his duty to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then that is a problem. Then that, so the person will reach that, the person that now is able to can, so that becomes a problem. So the person now, that tark, so anything that will overly busy that person from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he leaves that thing. Then that's a special case of people who can live like that. So anything that they will distract them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that person will do away with that thing. Now, that's special cases. So if those people kind of somewhat try to overindulge in that third level, that they kind of somewhat do apart from things of the dunya, no type of distraction at all in the dunya, are the people that those people that goes into az-zuhd al-mubtada, az-zuhd al-ibta mubtada, which is muhdath, which is that kind of zuhd of the people now going to bidah, of the person that they leave away regarding things which is halal completely. Don't want to get married, don't want to work, not want to seek of ilm. So they see these things as it business, and these things require effort. To get married, it's effort. And having kids, And if you get married, then they don't want to work. Because they see that things are all distractions. Seeking of knowledge, distraction. You have to travel, get books, sit with sheikh. They see these things as too much of a distraction. So those people that their house become the masjid forever. They're all in the masjid 24/7. Then that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem. Such concerns, and so that type of Zuhd, that becomes the person now going to excess where it falls into bidah. So the masjid becomes their house. Where does that mean that they just live in a masjid? Anything concerning outside the masjid, they do away with those things. Aywa?
When you said about not seeking knowledge, what is it? Just to the dhikr of Allah, and just that that Sufi, that old Sufi.
So Zuhd at-tasawwuf. Zuhd at-tasawwuf. Where it says now that the person somewhat that they become blindsided regarding matters regarding ilm, where they see that life is about in the masjid, dhikr, maybe reading the Quran. But even in the masjid, the same masjid, the person might hear a lesson, but they will never sit in the masjid in that lesson. They'll go in a corner, read the Quran, or make dhikr. The person make sure they pray their salat on time with the Imam, takbir to ihram. They do not see the thing. Anything outside the masjid for them is a distraction. So the only place for them is the masjid. Or they might leave the masjid to their homes, but as for working regular jobs, no. So those are things of the things. So that's concerning, you said Zuhd at-tasawwuf mubtada'. So that in overall, the discussion regarding that of the ulama who place a Zuhd into 3 levels. 3 levels. Hakikatul Zuhd, that they discuss regarding what's the reality of Zuhd, as the hadith is about Zuhd, the topic of the hadith about Zuhd. It is mentioned and Yunus ibn Maysara قال, in defining or explaining what is the reality of Zuhd, he mentioned ليس الزهد في الدنيا زهادة في الدنيا بتحريم الحلال. That Zuhd in the dunya, the reality of Zuhd in the dunya, is not for a person to hold that which is halal haram. The reality of Zuhd is not for a person to see that which is halal as haram. ولا بعدات المال, or for a person to misuse, waste of his wealth, to misuse of his wealth. ولكن الزهد, but as for what is the reality of Zuhd في الدنيا أن تكون بما في يد الله أوثق منك, that for the person to see what is in that the person have this confidence that which is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he has more confidence with that which is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala بما في يدي, than that which is in his own hand. So the person have more trust in what is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give to him than what he has in his own hand, what he possesses. وأن تكون حالك في مصيبك, that also the person in the time of his musibah, وحال إذا لم تصب بها سواء, where the person that he views, he has the approach of life where if when he befalls with trials and tribulation, is the same as if when he is not befalled with trial and tribulation. So you approach life in this way. If I'm befalled with something or not, I approach life the same way. If I have trials that I have to deal with, and times that or when I'm not facing any trials, I approach both the same way. So that level of how he approaches things. Then he mentioned أن تكون مادك, the one who praises you, وذامك, and the one who attacks you, denounce you, في الحق, in a just way, سوا. That the person, or that the one who praises you in a just way, and the one who attacks you and critique you in a justifiable way, you see them as equal. You listen to both. You take to both. So if a person praises you, but in a way which is in a justifiable way, then you take that. And also if a person was to critique you in a justifiable way, you accept that. That is the reality of Zuhd. So Zuhd, the ulama mentioned that, no, Zuhd is not about you seeing that which is halal as haram, nor for you to waste of wealth, your possession, but rather Zuhd, as mentioned, that the person that have that trust in which is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, than what he have in his own possession. He had that level of confidence with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as being the one to provide. And also that the person, that the time that he's being faced with tribulations and trials, he would approach it the same way as when he's not being faced with trials. And also that person, he is able to can absorb those things, or deal with praise in a justifiable way. And also he would deal with, accept those who critique him justifiable in a justifiable way. He'll accept both. So that's concerning the reality that some mention it as of Zuhd. So that in life you find it every so often, that people in most cases that were imbalanced. One will lean one way or to another. And you find those who are able can take that balanced approach, that middle approach. But you might find that majority of the people, they go to two extreme right or extreme left. And you find that the middle path is the path that many may not take that path. The minority of being those ones that are balanced in how they approach things, not to one extreme or to the other. So you might find that in any circumstance, the people extreme to the right, that you might find that those people, that they always go in ghulu. They always go in excess. They're very excess. They go in excess in everything. They excess in every situation. They never balance. So when the people of ghulu, that if they like you, then they overly praise you. If they hate you, they denounce you in every way and form. Because they're always like that. They always go to excess. So if they like you, they're unable to be balanced in expressing that love or that like towards you. Because they're people of what? Ghulu. So they always go over the top. Because they're people of over the top. And if they hate you, that they cannot criticize you in a just way. They always have to dig deep. As I say, go below the belt. Because they're people of ghulu, in excess. They are next group of people of ghulu, concerning that ifrat or tafrit, that they are the people that they go to the next extreme. That they're very he said lackadaisic. I'm trying to find a different word.
Wishy-washy.
Not wishy-washy. I'm trying to find not the word. They're very neglectful about things. You understand? They never give things its true value. Nam. So with things that for everything for them, mashal hal, everything goes. Everything it goes. Nam. So everything for them is like they accept everything. They go, they accept everything. So that's instead so you have those people to those two extreme. Then you have the ones who are somewhat that they're more balanced, and that's in many cases, and those sometimes are the minority. They are the minority. So having that balanced approach regarding life. Then they mention regarding concerning that Then you have with this, you have people that fall in tabaqat al-zuhd, that people find you have different degrees or levels of zuhd. So that level, as we had mentioned before, that level and degree, just to mention that, just as though tabaqat of and aqsam al-zuhd regarding concerns now, that the degrees of zuhd, that is upon everyone that they leave away that which is haram, tark al-haram. That's from everyone. The next, tark al-fudul, as we mentioned before, min al-halal, leaving those, the extras in thing which is halal. Then they mention concerns, that you find that the person tried to aim for this. And the ones who go to the next level, to the higher degree, is with a person that he leaves away anything that's a distraction. Within those things, so enter with distraction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he put those things aside. Without going to excess. Without being excessive. That's not a tark ma yashghil anillah wa ta'ati Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for that case, a person regarding, for example, like free time. That a person try to ensure that what they call free time, that it is used in a way which would be of benefit, not just wasting time, relaxing, and just the person that he would sleep. So what most people sleep for what? 8 hours, they say. So they say. But you find that a person that for him sleeping is a good 12 hours after day. That's for them proper rest. So for 12 hours or for 14 hours, they're sleeping. They would not be satisfied with sleeping for less than half a day. 12 hours. And there was 24 hours. So half his day is wasted just by sleeping. So people are excessive. So the person regarding that, that those things that sleeping is to be done. But he doesn't go to excess. He does sleep, then try to use and not go excess, and may go below what is said to be the 8 hours. So for him, maybe 6 hours sleep is needed. So as to try to use all his time in things which is of benefit. Because in sleeping, you're not doing anything. You're not gaining much. So the person, sometimes may leave away those things of excessive sleep, because it will not bring him closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So those are things regarding that matter, in brief. Also with az-zuhd, at-taqlid min sha'n ad-dunya. So for the person regarding az-zuhd, that a person have to try to taqlid, not try to be mindful regarding the person, not overly give too much to the dunya. Not to be excessive regarding the dunya. They mention also the zuhd, dawafi al-zuhd. So things to achieve a zuhd and the benefit of zuhd. So of those things that of the benefit of zuhd, quwwatul iman. So the person regarding a zuhd, and for the person to achieve a zuhd, it requires quwwatul iman. It requires for the person to achieve a zuhd in the dunya, just take what he needs of the dunya and not to overly indulge in the dunya and over busy himself with the dunya. Then of those things, dawafi, of those things that aid the person in this, quwwatul iman. The person have quwwatul iman. So the person, if he has strength in his iman, he's strong in his iman, then the person can somewhat, he knows to not to overly indulge in the dunya and see the dunya for what it is. is just a place of average sabil. He's just a traveler in the dunya. He's just a traveler in the dunya. So the dunya just a station to get him from point A to B, but it's not his final destination. The dunya is not his final destination. So he has to take of what he needs of the dunya to move on to his final destination. With the final destination for the believer should be Al-Jannah. So the thing that assists and aid the person regarding Zuhd, matter of Zuhd, that a person requires a person to have quwwat al-iman, have strong iman. And also for the person, istihdar annahu sayakif bayna yadayhi Allah. Then also for the person to realize and to remind himself that he will have to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and account for this. The things of that he was involved in the dunya. So the person has to take to account that he has to stand before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala regarding his period, his time in the dunya, his journey in the dunya. He has to account for all of it. And it is something which is that the dunya, it is something which is temporary, not permanent. It is something which is temporary, so it's not something which is permanent. So his goal is achieving that which is permanent, which is the akhirah. As for the dunya, it is temporary. Also, of those things, shu'ur al-abd, for the person also to understand بأن الدنيا تشغل القلب عن تعلق بالله. And also for the person to understand that the dunya, it can divert the person or busy the person heart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it can be of those things that can distract the person's heart from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for the person to achieve that also, it can be a distraction of the heart and also of the person's action from things of the things related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and tatbiq ash-shar. So of the dunya, that can become like a distraction from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ash-shar, where a person, for example, because of the that he praises fard, but there is no sunan. As he give Assalamu alaikum, he's out the masjid and back on the road, as they say. With me? So the person that knows so is sunan and his nawafil ibadat, he doesn't per se carry out those things. He's just kind of somewhat try to hold to just the fard and as quick as possible. When you see the person pray by himself, he just go through the routine of the salah. And that's just the fard. So it can, as I said, finish the salat as quick as possible, but still doing the salah, so he can move on. He can move on to things of the dunya. So it becomes a distraction. Becomes a distraction. And also of that distraction regarding concerning talabatul ilm and the likes, the person is not per se involved or give himself time regarding seeking of knowledge at all. Can you see that as I can do other things? As they say in today's time, it's just about making the money. It's about just making the money. So that becomes the priority, and everything else concerning matters regarding the deen is just thing that is done for the sake of doing. And also the person that is able to can value the dunya for what it is, or to know to the person that he understand the dunya for what it is, take the dunya for what it is. It's just a place that is passing by, a place that is just passing through. It's not a station that is the place that is trying to to stop on a permanent basis. Just something that is stop here on a temporary basis and then move on, but it's not his final destination. And understand how the Quran also and the Hadith, how it speaks of the dunya. How the Quran and the Islamic text as to how it speaks of the dunya, that how it the dunya regarding that so the person also look at these texts regarding how the Quran and the Hadith, it speaks of the dunya. Okay, with that inshallah ta'ala, that we'll stop here for today and continue next week, hopefully inshallah ta'ala, that we're able to end this hadith. Also the next third session, that we're able to can end this hadith that we're covering. وَبِاللَّهِ تَعَالَى تَوْفِيقٌ وَهَادِي إِلَى سَبِيلٍ.
Do you have some one or two practical recommendations how a person can condition himself to attain Zuhd? Is it something that breakaway be something?
No, as I said, as for definition, I said the person go with the definition that is given. That go with the definition that the person overly indulge in even those things which is halal. So not to overly indulge in those things which is halal. Everything that said that relates to those and also the person put effort in those things which is things of ibadat and nawafil. So for a person that things of those, so we have the compulsory that is a must. But then a person put effort regarding those things of the akhir regarding nawafil ibadat. And second, that the person that women that the things of the dunya, try to minimize what you need from it. Take what you need, not as they say what you want. Take what you need, what's sufficient, and not what you desire. So minimize what you need of the dunya. Take what you need. So those are things in general. So you said, and that may vary one person to another. Aywa?
Sure. I remember in the beginning when you started the lesson, you said this word. I would like to pronounce it prutainting. I don't know what that means.
Sorry?
You said this word. I could be wrong in pronouncing it. But you said the word prutainting or something. You said it at the beginning.
Yamkallah. I'm not sure which word I used.
I don't know what it means, but it just that word.
I don't remember the word. Pertaining?
That's the word, yeah. That's the word, yeah.
Pertaining.
That sounded
You know what that means? What does that mean?
I'm not sure what context I used that word.
Oh.
If I used it. If that was the word I used, I'm not sure. Go back to the recording and see what.
I'm not sure one of the authors of the explanation of 40 Hadith.
Sorry?
Judani.
Aye.
Now, what's his full name?
And that's I have to go back to what I said. It doesn't. I don't have his full name. I don't have his full name.
I was looking for him. I couldn't find.
Aye. So that inshallah ta'ala next week we'll try to, because this now we have gone 3 lessons, 3 sessions. This is a second. This is a second. So inshallah ta'ala hopefully we can finish with the third. We'll try to finish with the third. Beyond Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa billahi ta'ala tawfiq.
Next week
We're still discussing this.
Hadith, but another section of this hadith.
Yeah, still a continuation of this hadith.
Okay.